Pasha, the worst kind.
It's that time of the year again for Scream Fortress. Let's see what map they bring out this year. People has been saying this map is Dust Bowl Halloween Edition, and it's really true. But without any guilty pleasure you can get from playing it, it's just pure misery. It has the same sin as Dust Bowl, and good god does it show. In every stages, the first and second point are so close to each other. There was this one time I played this and round ended so fast because I picked up the meteor spell and completely locked down the red team spawn exit. And yes, as per our tradition, if you win too much or suck at defending, you're subjected to over 10 minutes of defense. Flank route? What's that? Doesn't exist here. It also doesn't help that all exits to the second point are always narrow bottlenecks. The first area is probably the worst of all three. It starts off with a point being literally a few feet away from spawn. Like, really? I thought we learned this lesson already. The second point is kinda good, you can roam a bit as spy, but that's about it for me. The second area is a bit better, but 2 sentries can be enough to block all routes at the first point. Maybe a sniper too.
Don't worry. Play enough medic to know that this is good.
Fuck. Are you sure about that? The second point has less sentries, but a lot more sniper sightline. There's also a death pit here. Wait, what? Why is it here? What? It has some verticality, but it also kinda makes getting out of respawn confusing, honestly. The final area's layout is interesting. If you're on blue, you have to immediately turn right after leaving the spawn because that's where you're supposed to go. It also throws out the red team too because they would also be bamboozled where the blue team is actually coming from. The final point is actually pretty fine though, just a bit. It still has the flaw shared by every other point in this map. Oh yeah, and there's Portal to Hell. There are 2 rare spells, but they are guarded by a Skeleton King, and the projectile goes from Terra. But unlike in Terra, they're actually a threat this time. It's a bit hard to avoid the skeleton if you're not the jumping classes. The portal placement is also very biased for the blue team, because they can immediately go in as they capture the point, while the red team instead have to go all the way back to spawn to get to them. And depending on where you exit the spawn from, you can actually miss it. I try giving the benefits of doubt, but Erebus is just so unlikable for me. Wait, they bring back Arena and it's Lumberyard? That janitor actually knows what I want this year. All of my comments on Lumberyard still stands, and you can watch it by clicking the top right corner right about now. There's actually a lot of health and ammo in this map, which is very generous for arena mode, but they can still be risky to take because a pumpkin bomb can spawn near them. A skeleton king can spawn by 25% chance every time a round starts, but I don't think 25% is that rare. I've seen him very often, to be honest. He tends to go only after one team, and that team's gonna get fucking demolished. Well, at least you get a rare spell when he dies. Another rare spell can also spawn in 3 different places, and depending on where it is, it can be very risky to take, quite risky, or the map might as well just give it to you. The horseman will also spawn if the round takes too long, which really helps if someone's trying to be a camper. I find the ghost system quite interesting because you can still help your team after you die. Unfortunately, it backfires in 2 different ways. It really helps spies because sometimes the death scream just don't trigger when people die. It can also drag on the fight because of how tanky people can become when so many ghosts are healing them. And on top of the mini crit they have if they're the last one alive. But sadly, this map just doesn't work in the current state of matchmaking. Because the system is already slow on filling up unbalanced team, and Arena is affected by this a lot more than any other mode. And the map can be really prone to crashing sometimes. Okay, did
I crashed.
all of us just crash? Did all of us just crash? Jesus. I still like Graveyard because of how each Halloween elements are balanced quite evenly for Arena mode. And the Easter egg is just really cool. Terror has a cool gimmick where the payload track is decided by the RNG. So sometimes it goes here, sometimes it goes here. However, this cool gimmick is buried beneath the map's horrendous design. The map has the very same problem I have with Steel, but applies the payload. And it's worse. The first point can and will be hell for the blue team, and if they break through the defense, the red team is pretty much guaranteed to lose. It's a matter of when will they lose. I have never seen a spawn exit that invites spam this much since Thunder Mountain. My god! Oh yeah, and the red team can shoot right into one of the spawn room. Nice. The building around the point is also really small. Just one sentry can cover most of it already. But after the first point, sweet Jesus, the red team is not getting back up anytime soon. I mean, yeah, you can defend the point if you're good enough, but in my experience, it's really rare. The reason why is that the distance between each point is very minimal. And on the later half, it's even worse because the blue team will spawn really close to the cart. Like, so close to the front line, you just don't need teleporters anymore. I think it would be better if the second and fourth points are removed entirely. Aside from pumpkin bombs and spells, Marasmus will also cast spells on both teams. It happens so frequently, it borderlines being annoying.
Erasmus, we're not in your toilet, goddammit.
If the fourth point is capped, you can either turn on the medieval mode or summon skeletons. And if the clock strikes midnight, the coffins will open and you can go to the underworld, which has so many purple spells everywhere, you can just collect them with no risk at all. It's also quite busted because you can enter it twice in a row to get uber and crits. And there's these two ghosts that shoot rockets and grenades, but they don't really do much, to be honest. The map also says you're fighting a circus god, but this looked nothing like circus at all. Terror has a good idea, but the map just executed so poorly. I don't have much to say about Synthetic gameplay wise, it's good enough. It got decent paths, sniper can see quite a lot, but thankfully there's some ways to flank him, and the areas are quite open, so it's not choke point all the time. But the last one kinda comes back to bite this map in the ass though, because Scout can pretty much dominate the area if he's good enough. Yeah, you heard it right, I just went from complaining about the map being too small to complaining about the map being too wide. The Toastmaster, who's actually the Skeleton King with a unique skin, will spawn from time to time. I think he's a better choice than the Horseman because of how short the map is, and you also get a rare spell if you kill him. But it's also a shame that all the lore stuff the mapper made is only visible by decorations and some rooms you cannot go in. So this means the main layout of the map doesn't really change at all, and it just looks like normal Synthetic. It feels a bit underwhelming, honestly. But hey, Synthetic just works, I guess. Los Muertos. Los Muertos? Los Muertos. Los Muertos.
Los Muertos.
Los Muertos. Now, this is how you put lore and details into the map. The sheer amount of decoration just goes to show how much the developer loved making this map. It's just brilliant. Los Muertos also plays well. It has clear path, good layout that gives every class a fair chance, and spell doesn't really go into spam territory. The spells are actually rare because you can only get it when the clock hits midnight, and you can even see it between respawn by spectator mode. And there's also a bridge that goes into Purgatory, I guess? It takes some notes from Hell Tower because it's a very risky path to cross, due to the pumpkin bombs and the cliff right next to it. I also like the Purgatory design too, it gives a very strong Silent Hill vibe. It's a bit concerning though because both teams are really close to each other when they come in, and I already have enough with heavy camping in hell in previous maps. Los Muertos is my favorite map of this year's Halloween, and it will probably be my favorite of all time. You've outdone yourself, map makers. Good job. Farmageddon is a very wide open map, but unlike Synthetic, it's not the scout who can potentially dominate the area, it's the engineer and the sniper. This is because all three paths leading into the barn is easily covered by a sentry, and the sniper can see quite a whole lot in his sight line. But I think they can be taken care of if you use each path appropriately though. I wish there was a route that goes completely around the barn, and I think that will fix the problem I just said. It's also because, like Synthetic, it's also a very short map, but with fewer paths to go around. The Scarecrow can spawn when the pumpkin opens, and killing them gives you bonus weed killers. However, their hitbox is pretty much non-existent when you're using bullets against them. Inside the pumpkin is where you deposit the weed killers, and I like how the acid is used as a hazard here. I'm slightly not okay with the layout though because the path to the center point is very limited when it comes to space. As for the theme, I really like it, and the voice actor put a really good job on this one.
Alright y'all, gotta get as much weed killer from those other guys as possible.
Overall, Farmageddon is a very solid map, but it also could have been better in my opinion. And that covers it for this episode. I really appreciate the map selection this year. Most of them plays well and are really distinct in terms of themes. Happy Halloween, guys!